Beanie Festival began in 1996 after a beanie exhibition was held in Alice Springs, which had been organised by Dunlop, who's a wonderful woman who had been running workshops in and around Alice Springs for Aboriginal women in textiles, and the women just loved it.
And I thought to myself, crumbs, this is a really good thing. If a little woolen hat can make people happy, well, let's make it a bit bigger.
We try and get people to put some concepts into their work, and we have categories such as the Mad Hatter's beanie, most stylish, best use of colour in a beanie, but also it has to incorporate the My Journeys theme somehow. So, you know, it is quite challenging to think what you're going to do.
On the whole, the standard is well respected, and Australian textile artists certainly hold their head and their standards with internationally, you know, and certainly compete on that level.
Well, I'm very privileged to be a judge because I just love seeing how this whole event has progressed. The standard of the work over the years that I've been involved in it has just gone through the roof. The quality of the work is amazing.
The category I've won is the best tea cosy in the Beanie Festival. I started by spinning the wool, and then I dyed it, and then I knitted it, and then I felted it, and then I beaded it.
When I was 60, I made up my mind I was going to England to see where my mother was born. Then I got the bug. I've been to New Zealand, I've been to China and Hong Kong. Alice Springs Beanie Festival was one place I had to go, and this year is it.
I've put together a beanie here, which is woven on a little loom. I do workshops every year, and this is a new little loom that Ashford have made, and I've made a beanie called Tall Poppy Syndrome.
12 years on the road, living in a van and a bus. I travel wherever I am home. This year's entry is My Journey as a Nomad. Waterfalls to the ocean, a whale and a whale's under the tail. The tall trees of Tasmania to the spinifex of the desert.
I make frilled lizards in workshops. We do beanies in workshops. We're getting new people from all over the world coming, and they just love it. They, like me, totally enchanted by this amazingness. It's a time of great joy. We have parties, we laugh a lot, we have fun. Yeah, I think it's a huge meeting place, and it's not just women, but blokes get a look in too.
I think the journey story for me was more a journey of creativity. I think the colours reflect the colours that I enjoy and appreciate in nature as well. Not so much the outcome, but the process that I really appreciate. And I think the collaboration with the local Indigenous communities and the sharing of craft and their beautiful work that they produce, I think that's the foundation.
Beanies are certainly something that Aboriginal people understand very well, and it's certainly, you know, a large part of desert couture. It's not surprising because Aboriginal people have been using headdress, certainly pre-colonisation, probably 40,000 years.
The Aboriginal people already had very advanced ways of spinning fibre. They used to make beanies in the early years with using kangaroo skin at the top, and then they'd crochet down the sides.
Urnabella is actually really famous for their sculptural crochet. I'd only ever really thought of needle felting as being a very flat thing. The women just go with it, and they do much more extraordinary things than you'd ever think of.
They have with them a wealth of story, a wealth of experience. This represents is just a little tiny bit of a rich, deep culture.
I've worked for a while out at Urnabella doing a residency, and it's very exciting how with just a few resources, you know, these women are incredibly resilient and flexible and creative and clever, and just with a few resources they've just made some amazing work.
They're from everywhere. They're from the Indigenous communities around here. They're from the local beanie makers in Alice Springs. They're from right through the Northern Territory into Western Australia, all around Australia and overseas. They're from everywhere. We've just hit 4,500 beanies, which is huge. It's enormous. I can't believe there's that many beanies in one room. It's so fantastic that everybody wants to come and share their stories here at the Beanie Festival.
There are other opportunities for textile artists to show their work around Australia, but this festival is quite unique because it appeals to a broad cross-section of the community. So there may be well recognised and established artists regularly sending in work, or new graduates and emerging artists who have come up with an idea. And, you know, while there are established and recognised people contributing beanies, it's certainly open to anybody to take part.
It is something that everybody feels they can be a part of, and that's one of the wonderful things about it. As a community art event, it's fabulous because so many people say, oh yeah, you know, beanie, you know, I could manage a beanie. People feel they can come along, they can get into it, they can have a go, and next year we might see those new beanie makers in the fresh crop of beanies for the next year. In terms of art across Australia, I'd say it's pretty quirky, pretty regional, and very eccentric and highly worthwhile.